Ladies, listen, what you need to do right now is go get your husband, go get your boyfriend, go get your teenagers and set them in front of the television. And then you need to leave the room because this program is for men only. Welcome to our program today for men only. Now listen, ladies, you're supposed to have turned the dial. You're supposed to go someplace else. You're supposed to get your husband, your boyfriend, your son, maybe your teenager and set them in front of the television because this program is for men only. And we're going to talk about men's stuff. Our philosophy on this program is this. There's an eagle and a turkey on the inside of every man. And we're out here in the woods in Whitehall, Michigan. Actually, on my personal property, I own about 10 acres of land. And Rob, this is Rob Liphard is here with me. Good to have you, Rob. You know, I just over the hill while they were getting set up, and I saw some movement up there, and there's a whole bunch of turkeys out there. And you know, our philosophy is there's a turkey on the inside of every man, and there's an eagle on the inside of every man. And it's the one, that bird, that portion of a man's character that gets talked to, that is usually the one that rises to the ascendancy. So what our program is designed to do is speak to the eagle on the inside of men. Amen. Challenge some men, challenge that greatness, challenge that moral excellence, challenge that eagle, that part of you that wants to soar and wants to be a leader. Because I believe on the inside of every man, there's a man that wants to be a hero. That's right. Rob, I dreamed about, hitting the home run in the 9th inning of the 7th game of the World Series.
Like the Tigers last night?
Yeah, or the guys think of making the basket in the last second of a championship game, right. or throwing or catching the touchdown pass, to win the Super Bowl. Every man thinks about being a hero or being.
Everybody has a hero on the inside.
Yeah, and I believe that's a God thing. God wants every man to be a hero in some form or fashion. And the thing is this: it's that person on the inside of you that gets talked to, is the one that rises to the ascendancy. So what we want to do, we're getting in some man settings like we're out in the woods. We got our hunting stuff here. And on today's program, we may kill a few squirrels. We're going to do a little bit of squirrel hunting. I might even show you one of my trophy deer on today's program.
I'm jealous.
All right, because I've got the 3rd largest rack recorded in Muskegon County for rifle hunting season. So we might just show you that. We're going to have a little fun today, and might see us bag a squirrel. That'd be fun, maybe a few. But we'll have some fun. But we're going to talk about some man stuff today. Now, Rob, you grew up hunting, didn't you?
I grew up hunting, yes.
What kind of things did you hunt?
Everything that moved. We've hunted squirrels, rabbits, deer, ducks, geese, just about anything huntable. And we would get up early, we'd stay out late, and get that last few minutes of prime time to be able to get in the things that we needed to do in order to be successful with our hunts. Yeah.
Now I know for me growing up, my uncle, but it's really my uncle. We did a lot of small game hunting. He had beagles, and so we did a lot of rabbit hunting. And and sometimes when he didn't have the dogs, he'd use me to jump on the piles, the brush piles. And
reminds me of a story. I went hunting one time with my youth pastor at the time, and we were out hunting and we're chasing rabbits down, and all of a sudden I hear dogs barking, and I'm like, we didn't bring a dog. And all of a sudden this beagle's running around chasing this rabbit. This rabbit's come by me, and I'm laughing so hard. It was my youth pastor. He was barking like a beagle. And I didn't know that's what they did in their family. They were trained, each kid was trained to bark like a beagle. And he's running this rabbit. I'm laughing so hard. He's sweating, and I'm missing this beagle because I'm laughing at him. We get up to the house, and the guy comes out and says, hey, where's your dog? I said, he's right here. Yeah. So
well, my uncle never made me do that. He'd make me jump on the brush piles to stir the rabbits up. And then when we were out there, I had to carry all the ones that they shot, so I always was the
pack mule.
Yeah, the pack mule. And then after a while, they actually then I got to hunt myself,
Right.
And I'll never forget. I mean, one of my greatest Christmases was when I got a 410 single shot shotgun for Christmas. And we went out that day, and I shot my first rabbit. I mean, I've still got pictures of it, of me holding that first rabbit. And I can remember, I think it was September 15th. I don't always do that now, but I think it was September 15th was the opening day of small game season.
Okay.
And I can remember we'd be in the woods before the light ever came out. And you know, we'd be looking up in the trees because that was opening day of squirrel
looking for
season.
squirrels.
And just having a blast.
I found more squirrels hunting deer than I did with
Yeah.
a small game.
I didn't hunt as many squirrels. I got into deer hunting, and then after a few years of deer hunting, I thought, I'm going to kill some squirrels.
That's exactly it.
To get them out of there. So, but listen, Rob, you know, this program, we're designing this challenge men. Now, one of the things to be men, to be the men that God called them to be the men that they were created to be. And you know, in hunting, especially squirrel hunting, if you ever watch a squirrel hunter, we might get some clips of this. You're looking in the trees, and a good squirrel hunter looks for movement.
Right.
And I remember one time I was hunting with my grandfather in Arkansas. Now, he was an expert squirrel hunter. And we're looking at the same tree, and he sees things I don't see.
Right.
And he said, Tim, I'm going to go up to that tree. I was probably 13, 14 years old. He said, I'm going to go up to that tree, and there was a vine on the tree. He said, I'm going to shake that vine. And he said, you see that branch? Squirrels are going to come running out. Now, truth was, I thought, how does the old man know that?
Right.
But he saw things I didn't. And he went up there and shook that vine and outran that squirrel. And I was surprised. I didn't believe him, shot and missed. And he looked at me like I was a dummy and just pulled up, boom, and he shot it. But a good hunter has perception and recognizes some things that sometimes others don't see.
Right.
Now, we're about to take a break in just a moment, maybe get some clips of us squirrel hunting. But I want to come back. You are one of the men that I know of that you see opportunities.
Right.
You see business opportunities, ways to make money rather than just depend on somebody else. And I want to talk about that when we come back.
Amen.
Seeing opportunity.
Awesome.
We'll be back in just a moment. We're back here in Whitehall, Michigan on my personal property. I've got about 10 acres of land outside of Whitehall, and I'm here with Rob Liphard, and we're here, and basically, you know, we're in a hunting setting, and we're talking a little bit about hunting, and that aspect of hunting is seeing opportunity. And Rob, in a few minutes I want to talk about opportunity, but let's start, especially work opportunity, being able to see. I know through the years and talking to you, you see things that a lot of times other people don't see. But before we get there, you know, we're living in a time that, at least at this point, unemployment's been around 7-8%, and they say that even that's been massaged, that it may be higher than that. They're saying that, especially, I heard a report the other day about the claims for disability have just gone through the roof. People looking to get on disability are basically in a setting where the government takes care of them. Now, thank God for some of those programs, and
can be a blessing.
And with unemployment and things like that, and it can be a blessing and help us. But let's talk for a second. What happens in a man's life? Because we're talking to men. What happens in a man's life when somebody else supplies for him, somebody else takes care of him, and he doesn't provide for his home?
Well, God designed us to be conquerors and to go out and to conquer and defend for ourselves. And when we begin to rely on someone else for what we're called to do, it really has a tendency to demoralize us, and it has a tendency, since it's a men-only show, it has a tendency to neuter us. Right?
All right. I was going to say demasculate us, but I mean.
But what it does, it takes the ability for us to produce the energy that it takes to conquer and to go out and to do what we're supposed to do.
Could I maybe say it this way? It takes some of the manhood out of a man.
It does. It really does. It doesn't make them feel like they have the ability to accomplish and to conquer what they know that they have on the inside of them. It just kind of pulls their confidence of themselves.
Now, I almost heard it this way: so it can devalue a man.
Absolutely, yeah. They don't feel like they're worth anything anymore.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes men, men, and we're not trying to condemn you. Our point is not to do that. I know some men in this time, some have been hunting for jobs, and they even talk about some that have even stopped looking anymore.
Right.
Because they've gotten so discouraged, and they think almost, what's the use?
Well, sometimes you put in effort and put in effort and put in effort, and you get no results. You have a tendency to get so discouraged that it's like, why try?
Okay.
And sometimes the things that come against us seem like they're too big for us to be able to even accomplish on our own.
Okay. But now this is a men's program, and we're not necessarily here to preach, but one of the things that we can say is there is some help in God.
There is.
You believe God.
Well, most hunters, if you get out in the woods, you spend time, and some guys, they say this is the closest that they feel with God, is when they're in the woods. Because everything else, and they're shut up, and everything else is quiet, and they can begin to hear things that wouldn't normally hear.
Okay. Now, in that, because, I've heard people, guys that have been out there and they haven't been able to get a job, and sometimes they give up. But yet, it's amazing, there's a side, I think during the Depression, that ended up producing more millionaires in terms of how things that people saw.
Sure.
Opportunities that they saw. And we've talked, and I know talking with you, you have a tendency to see things,
right.
See opportunity.
For some reason, I can see things, like I can be in a location and I'm thinking, wow, this would be a great place for a gas station, or I could see something and then a year later, it's in there. Mm-hmm. And just recently, my wife and I, we took our boat from Pomona Park all the way out to Grand Haven in Lake Michigan, and I got out there and I am hungry. And I thought to myself, if there was a concession boat out here, I'd be buying off it. I'm like, concession boat. What a good idea. If someone had something like that, they could make money. And who knows? Yeah.
And I sit and I think, I know, as I raised my sons, I had 2 sons and 5 daughters. I say my wife and I found that scripture about being fruitful and multiplying. Right. We did our part. But my oldest son, when he got about 12, 13 years old, part of the thing as a man you want to do is teach your kids to work, especially sons how to work. And I looked at him, and he was pretty strong for his age and what have you, and pretty industrious. So, I said, 12, man, you can mow lawns. And at 12 years old, what we did is we printed up, on the computer, we just printed up this nice little flyer. Right. And he went into here in Whitehall, Michigan, knocked on doors or put those in the door and handed them to people. Right. And the flyer looked so good that when they called and this little 12-year-old boy knocks on the door and, hi, I'm Dan from Dan's Lawn Service. Right. they thought this
caught him off guard.
Yeah, it sort of caught him off guard. But the thing was, at 12 years old, he ended up having, I think, 10 people he mowed their lawn. Wow. He made roughly about $175 to $100 a week.
That's good money for a kid.
Yeah, good for 12 years old, man.
That's right.
And then I think he got one of the people that he mowed their lawn. He said, "Can I leave my lawnmower in your garage?" And and he put a gas can in there, and they said yes. And then he would go in, he would ride his bike into Whitehall, and then go to those various homes and mow their lawns.
Smart.
At 12 years old. And I sat and I think, to a degree, some people they throw up their hands and they say, I can't do anything, I can't make any money.
Well, sometimes we get into the opinion that it's not going to make me enough money, it's not worth my time. Sometimes we value ourselves a little bit higher than we ought sometimes as men. I know I do sometimes, but the Bible says, whatever your hands find to do as unto the Lord. So, God's saying us, find something. If you don't got nothing, make something happen. Like Dan did. He made something happen with the lawnmowers. He was not happy with the what he was making at home, obviously.
I got news, sir. I didn't pay him that much for an allowance. All right, praise the Lord. Listen, we're going to be back in a few moments. I think you're about to see our Men of Honor moment with Tony Rory. You'll like that. It'll be a quick moment to challenge you, and we'll be back and talk some more about what it means to be a man.
That's right.
Hi, this is Tony Rory with Men of Honor, and I'm coming to you today from a public middle school classroom where we mentor and train young men to be world changers for Christ. The Bible tells us that we're created in the image of God, and therefore we already have greatness on the inside. But for some of these young people, they need men like you and me to call that greatness out of them. As Scripture tells us, greater is He that is in us than he that's in the world. Be a world changer for Christ today. Be a man of God. Be a man of honor.
Once again, we're here in Whitehall on my personal property. I'm Pastor Tim Cross. I'm here with Rob Liphard. We've just been talking a little bit about the importance of seeing opportunity, and maybe that importance of work. We're going to get to the opportunity, but Rob, you almost mentioned in the last segment that a man that does nothing, that some of the things, unemployment, some of the things, disability, some of the things that can happen in a man's life when somebody else provides for his family, takes care of, if I could say it this way, his responsibilities. It almost neuters a man.
Yeah.
It's almost destructive in terms of the value of a man, how he sees himself. I mean, it's got to do something to a man when somebody else has to take care of his responsibilities.
Right. It has a tendency to devalue you and not make you feel like you're as valuable as you are. Because really we are all valuable. God created us all equal. And the value on the inside of us has a tendency to get smothered when it's drowning in other people doing what we're supposed to do.
Or discouragement or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
And then we started talking a little bit, I shared the story about my son Daniel, but I think there's I can't remember exactly how it's quoted. I guess I've even heard it on some commercials. And it talks about, a body at rest or something at rest tends to stay at rest. But then a body in motion has a tendency to stay in motion.
That's right.
And I think one of the deadly things that, especially with unemployment, and not trying to push, condemn somebody that's unemployed, but sometimes that aspect of long unemployment, long inactivity.
Long term. Short-term unemployment is great, especially if you're a hunter and you want to get laid off right now, a couple of weeks of deer hunting or small game hunting, that's not a bad thing. But when it becomes a lifestyle, it really demoralizes us.
And then if you don't watch it, you tend to become at rest and
We're confident in it.
And confident in you.
You begin to trust in your unemployment.
And that can be a dangerous spot to be.
It can be rough.
All right. So a man, it could almost be deadly for a man to be in that rest state, or that it used to be that they sat in front of the television all day.
Right.
Today it could even be sitting in front of a computer and playing computer games all day.
Yeah. We have some little boxes that really can destroy a lot of people's lives. A little bit of fun's fine, but when it begins to dominate your time, it really begins to suck the life right out of you.
I think I've got a couple computer games that I might sit down and play for 30, 45 minutes.
Right.
But for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours.
Well, it's affecting everybody now. I mean, they got everywhere. There's a little game. I mean, on your handhelds, on your computers, on your phones. I mean, so they're everywhere.
Yeah, but that can almost be deadly. That it gets us inactive.
Yeah, it really gets us sitting.
And one of the things, I've seen some studies that really show the aspect of, for especially young men, that they spend hours and hours in front of a video game.
Right. And
then it's almost hard to get them moving.
Yeah, hard to get them up thrusting and doing what they're supposed to do. Now you get a kid that's active, you get a kid that's typically in sports or in drama and things like that, where they're doing things and putting their hands to work. They have a tendency to really be more of the go-getters and people seeking.
And so I think there's a side that may be a challenge for today, especially for those that have been long unemployment, is sometimes just getting to get moving again.
Yep, right.
And now let's just say, some can be out there and say, I hunted for jobs for a year and I pounded the pavement, knocked on every door, put in resumes, but nothing happened.
Right. Well, something did happen. They learned how to present themselves. They just might not know it.
Oh, that's good.
So something is happening.
Okay. But what are some other things that, all right, let's say there's a guy out there watching that's tried all sorts of stuff.
Well, sometimes it's not necessarily what you're doing. It might be who you're running into while you're doing it. You might be volunteering and helping your neighbor, and they might see your work ethic, and they might know somebody that has a job. And then they can throw your name out. But if we're not doing anything, how can anybody speak up for us?
Yeah. Now, I know where, our church is not necessarily the building, the physical facility is not in the best neighborhood.
Right.
But every now and then I've seen guys walking down the street pushing a lawnmower.
Right.
Or I've seen a guy with a rake over his arm. The other day I saw a guy on a bike pulling his lawnmower behind me. And there's a side of me that when I see that, I don't think little of him. I want to salute the man.
Well, he's not going to stay where he's at.
Ooh, why?
Because he's doing something, lest you do nothing.
Okay, so he's getting something in motion.
He's getting some momentum.
And you know, so maybe the lawn that you mow, the yard that you rake, the
Driveway you shovel.
the driveway you shovel, you never know who that person might be.
Right.
You know, they might be an HR person, or they know an HR person, or they know somebody that needs a job.
Yeah.
Or that needs an employee.
We're flooded with a market of opportunity right now that we really don't capitalize on enough. There's opportunity everywhere you look. If people look, it's more than just standing at a corner holding up a sign saying, "I'll work for food." Them people are not in motion. I don't want to say anything against them. At least they're on a corner. They're not in their house. But there's other things. I mean, if they had around the corner with a windshield squirter and wiping your window, they would have some value for what they're getting.
Ooh, now we're going to come back to that. You started hitting on some things, and sometimes just getting in motion. You know, if you're sitting, a lot of people are sitting waiting for their ship to come in.
Right.
Sometimes you got to go out and meet it.
Sometimes you got to make your ship.
Ooh, okay. We'll be back in a few moments. You might get to see us shoot a squirrel or something, but we're going to come back and talk some more about this issue in just a few moments. We're back here in Whitehall, Michigan. We're out in the woods. You know, we're going to do some hunting here in a little bit and what have you. But we're here talking about seeing opportunity, seeing opportunity, and how really we've talked a little bit about how almost deadly it is, neutering it is for a man to sit and to do nothing, that it takes some of his value away and some of his manhood away. And we were talking about a little bit seeing opportunity. I was thinking, Rob, in that last segment, I was thinking of a man that I heard of that couldn't find a job. Nobody would hire him. You know, he didn't want to just live off of the governments to a degree. So what he did is he started going to businesses and to, you know, business complexes and start going to executives. And what he did was he put a little flyer together and went in and said he would be willing to come in, pick up their vehicle, drive it, detail it, and bring it back. And those executives that you know, their time is more valuable to a degree than their money.
Right.
And for them, the hours or so that it'd take them to clean up their car and detail it. And he got a clientele that once a month he'd come pick it up. And before long, he ended up even having people working for him. He ended up with his own business because he saw an opportunity.
He saw an itch and itched it.
Yeah. Now, you said something about Americans. Share that. We were talking.
You know, it's one of the reasons that we have America is because we all came here with the opportunity and with the dream of being able to create something and do something for ourselves. So entrepreneurial spirits really are on the inside of the United States. And there's opportunities out there, and I just want to encourage everybody, if you've got a dream to do something, step out. Start working towards your dream. It's there. We just got to get it in motion. Begin to do something.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've gone into the community college, and I've heard some students, I'd talk with them, and even in the community college, and I've even some people our age, I mean, we're
Right.
up there, and they were taking classes, and I looked at them, I patted them on the back. They said, you know, I looked at them and said, you know, where are you going? Do you know what you're doing? And they said, no, but I needed to do something. And I thought, good, at least you're doing something. You're getting motion going. You're doing something. You know?
Something to progress. I mean, if we continue to stay and to sit, we have a tendency to begin to withdraw and isolate ourselves, and we don't want to isolate in the day that we're living in.
I remember I talked to one individual about 50 years old, and they were taking some classes. Said, I'm trying this, I'm doing this, I'm at least, and I just patted this person on the back and said, great, I'm proud of you. Well, And they were like, it's not really that big a deal. And I stopped them, and I looked at them, I said, wait a minute, what are your friends doing? And they sat and they thought, and they said, they're sitting around drinking and just doing nothing. Right. And I said, look at you. You got out of that and you're doing this. And I mean, this person almost started crying because they didn't realize that just getting some motion.
How big a deal. Yeah.
Just doing something.
Right.
You know.
And there's opportunities out there. I had my wife and I have 2 daycares that we operate. And I had a daycare parent that came and volunteered because she wasn't working. And as a result of volunteering, a job opportunity opened up for her, and she was able to step right back into that full-time job that she was looking for, and it was one that she was wanting. So sometimes it might be going and painting a neighbor's house. You don't know what it is that you volunteer or step into that might create an open door.
I remember I told one man, he said he tried all sorts of stuff. This guy had just gotten out of prison, and he's trying all sorts of stuff, couldn't get a job. And I looked at him, I said, if you can't get a job, you beat the bushes and no doors are opening, rather than sitting at home and watching TV all day, get yourself here to the church, do something. We'll find odds and ends for you to do. It wasn't 1 week that he got in motion that he started doing that, a job opportunity, he got a job.
Well, you know, some people wait for their ship to come in, but really, most of us, we have to make our ship. So that we can
at least
make
go out and meet it.
Yeah, that's right. At least cut a board.
Do something.
Get a saw. Something.
But it seems like if you get in motion, if you get that type of mindset, you begin to see some opportunities.
Right.
If you've got that type of mentality, that type of thinking.
You'll begin to see things. And it just comes with time and comes with experience. But the more you do something, the better at it you're going to get.
But and maybe we'll just end up here, you know, if it's that law of a body at rest tends to stay at rest.
Yeah.
Or if you've gotten satisfied sitting and doing nothing, then you don't see. It's almost like your eyes are closed to opportunity. But if you're in motion, if you're looking and doing something, if it's raking a neighbor's yard, mowing their lawn, if it's, and not even not do it for money, you just do it because I don't have anything else to do. My neighbor's working a lot of extra hours. I'll go mow his grass.
Yeah.
But if you'll get things in motion, you might be amazed at what you begin to see and what your eyes begin to see.
Right. We have a tendency to think that someone's going to do it for us. But if we begin to step out and help out, you'd be surprised what's going to come back to you.
All right. Now listen, guys, part of our challenge towards manhood is men get in motion, men get moving, real men get out there and make things happen.
Get off the couch.
Get off the couch. Or get out from behind the computer, and they get out and they get in motion. So that's our challenge to you on our program today for men only.
Now wait a minute, is this 4?
Shh! Very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits.